This is it. All Ipswich need to do on the final day is get 1 point. Just 1 point is all that is left to pull off one of the most remarkable achievements in Championship history. There's a lot in their favour. They're facing a Huddersfield side who are all but relegated. It would be one of the most ridiculous turn of events if Ipswich Town did not get promoted. Hello and welcome to the second tier preview show brought to you by SBK. I'm Ryan Dilks and I'm joined by the Nicola Zigic to my Paul Caddis. It's Justin Peach.
Good day to you, Ryan.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. It's here, Justin. The final day of the Championship season. And this is it. This is it. Everything comes down to this weekend, mate. Who's finishing in the top two? Who's finishing in the top six? Who's bloody going down? This is huge. My loins can't take it, Justin.
The loins are pumping, and I don't even know what it's doing.
No one's thinking about the loins.
We should all be thinking about the loins. Ryan's loins need to be thought about right now, exactly. But you are absolutely right. It is one of those football weekends where I don't think I've been this excited for a last day of the season. Maybe for a couple of seasons, I don't think we've had this much riding on it. And then it just makes the playoffs extra spicy because of the amount of teams that are just completely out of form and the amount of teams that need to win their final game of the season to just generate a little bit of momentum. There's so much going on this weekend. I know it's just the last game of the season and most of the teams, they're all done and dusted. But there's more to it when you uncover slices, pages. There's just more and more and more, and we love it.
Yeah, well, think how many dead rubbers there are usually on a final day of the season. This weekend we've got, half the games, which have something riding on them. And I can't remember the last time we had a final day where automatic promotion was still up in the air. Admittedly, it looks like it's going more one way than the other, but still we've got the top two race, the top six race. Who's going down? It's cracking. And this is what we are here for, ladies and gentlemen. Everything is still to play for, and we're at the final hurdle. And I'm here for it. Let's have a look ahead to it, shall we? Welcome to the number one Championship podcast, the second tier. Thank you for joining us wherever you are. Yes, we are going to be making our predictions ahead of the final day of the weekend here on the second tier. We're also going to be talking about our game of the weekend very shortly. And then we'll also finish off with Scott High or Ryan Lowe to have a ceremonial end to the season. But Justin, let's look to our game of the weekend on the final day. And we've gone with Leeds United versus Southampton. 3rd v 4th. Leeds are 4-7 to win this one with SBK. Southampton are 43-10. The draw is 16-5. And look, this is a game we've had earmarked for quite a while because at various points of the season, it looked like it might actually be a virtual playoff final, Justin.
Yeah, I think there's been several occasions in the lead up to probably since the last international break where I've been almost dismissive about the importance of this game, especially from a Leeds perspective, because I've been convinced that they'd have promotion done and dusted by now.
Yeah.
And it's not the case, and you're absolutely right. It might be a prelude to what's going to happen potentially in a couple of weeks' time if both teams end up in the playoffs, if both teams get through playoff semi-finals, etc. And yeah, it's almost a taste test, isn't it? It's almost a taste test before that full meal, because what it could be as a final as well is an incredible spectacle. And I'm expecting a hell of a lot from this game. I'm expecting chaos, carnage, goals. Russell Martin being salty, Daniel Farke being his usual just really placid self, not quite aggravated, not quite happy.
Just looking sad.
Just looking sad, but you just never know what emotion he's feeling. He's just Daniel Farke. He's just Daniel Farke, and he's Farking all right.
Yeah, and don't get too ahead of yourself just yet, Justin. We don't want to be looking ahead to the playoffs, even though it's very tempting. But at one point, it looked like this may end up being a game which decides automatic promotion between these two, perhaps even the one that decides the title at one stage. Mm-hmm. So it is quite the fall for both these, that the game doesn't have nearly as much riding on it, but it's still undoubtedly a big game for a very simple reason. Because Leeds United know what they have to do. It's win or bust for them. They need to beat Southampton and hope Huddersfield somehow beat Ipswich. And look, it's highly unlikely, but Leeds need to at least live up to their end of the bargain, don't they? Just in the off chance that there is a minor miracle at Portman Road, Justin.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. They are relying on a rival getting one over Ipswich, and not only that, but that rival is pretty much, they're in this shit because they're already relegated, albeit it's going to take an almighty goal swing for them to get out of the bottom three, which is unlikely to happen. So, yeah, they are relying on a hell of a lot of favours. But look, that's football, isn't it? You don't know what's around the corner. Ipswich could have a silly red card early on in that game. Emotions can get the better of players, leads to poor decisions. It could easily be a rash tackle or a trip in the box that gives Huddersfield a penalty, or Ipswich 10 men, and it swings things in Leeds' favour. You just never know. But all Leeds need to do, they have to win. But it's a difficult game to come. You'd much rather be playing Huddersfield than Southampton, based purely on the quality of the players, because this is a difficult game for Leeds. No matter who they put out themselves, it's a difficult one. No matter what form Southampton are in as well, because Southampton need a win as well. This is why it's so dramatic. This is why I'm so pumped right now. Is because there's just so many thoughts buzzing around my head, like you with the loins. My loins are pumping now. This has got my loins pumping.
Oh, good. Yeah, but that's what I like to hear. I want to hear about your loins, Justin, and how they're feeling. I mean, I will say this. I can't explain how fucking hilarious it would be if Huddersfield do beat Ipswich and Leeds didn't win.
Oh, my God.
It would be.
Oh, my God.
Justin, I'm telling you right now, it would be the single funniest thing to happen in the history of football. It honestly would. And we will talk about Huddersfield v Ipswich a bit later on. But look, Leeds need to win just in case. They also need to win to get a bit of confidence back, assuming they don't go up automatically. Because, look, they were absolutely shook during that QPR game. And assuming they are heading for the playoffs, they need as much confidence as they can get before then. Because what we've seen in the past is the team who is by quite a distance the third best team in the league misses out on the final day. They go into the playoffs and they're mentally drained from the end of the season. So just a win here would give them a massive boost in that respect, particularly because the other sides in the playoffs are also well short on form. And one of those is, of course, Southampton. They've lost their last 3 games, scored 1 and conceded 8 in that time. And look, fans don't seem full of confidence heading into the playoffs, and that was highlighted by the lack of appreciation, should I say, after Southampton's loss to Stoke last weekend, where the players were walking around the pitch and clapping a few thousand fans who stayed behind. Truly wonderful stuff. But the question is, Justin, how important is a result for Southampton here?
Well, we all know the importance of the win for Leeds, what a win for Leeds could do. But actually, I think it's just as important that Southampton take 3 points. I think it's just as essential. Mainly because mentally they just look done. They just look absolutely done. That late defeat to Cardiff a couple of games ago just seemed to take all of the wind out of their sails, because they were hurtling towards that top 2, weren't they? They were pushing really, really hard. And I'm not done the maths, but it'd be interesting to see whether or not, if they'd won their last 2 games, albeit difficult one against Leicester, but if they'd have beat Cardiff, beat Leicester, and then I can't remember if they lost, beat Stoke, would they be in the shout of the top 2? Yeah, it's incredible. Exactly. I don't do maths, you know me. Numbers aren't my forte, but this is what I mean. It just they've done what you don't want to do towards the end of a season. That is lose ground on your top 2, because what that can do to confidence, what that can do to momentum going into the playoffs can really impact you. And as I say, if they don't get 3 points against Leeds, or even a point, what sort of mindset do they enter the playoffs with? Both teams are balanced on a knife edge here. It's incredible. It is incredible.
It absolutely is incredible, but they're essentially in a very similar position to Leeds, aren't they? Because the likelihood both these teams are going to be heading into the playoffs, and if Southampton get a result here, it gives them a bit of form. A win would be more form than what any of the other playoff sides have. So Russell Martin will be trying to rally his players and get them confidence again before that. Another loss would make the situation even worse, though. So that's what Southampton have to play for here, even though they are going to finish 4th and there's no change in that. But that's what is at stake for them here. But look, it's going to be fascinating because Leeds know what they have to do. They have to keep the pressure on Ipswich. And even though it is unlikely, and we will talk about that very shortly, they need to hope Huddersfield do some sort of favour for them this weekend. But it's now time, Justin, for our second tier bet builder with SBK. And with SBK, you can curate your own bet builder from a range of markets for any championship game. It's easy, fast and secure. on the SBK mobile app. And look, you'll find substantially better odds there than at any other bookmaker. So every Friday, we are making our own bet builder with 4 selections all relating to our game of the week. So that's 2 for Justin and 2 for me. Justin, can you give me your first selection, please, big boy?
It is a tasty one. I've gone with both teams to score. I fully expect both teams to embrace the chaos of the final day and potentially with results elsewhere impacting exactly what these teams do, because no matter what happens, I mean, Southampton less so, but with Leeds, results can have an impact, or scores can have an impact. If Ipswich go behind, for example, against Huddersfield, that's going to open the door for Leeds to go at Southampton, which again might open them up for Southampton to attack them. And not only that, but they both boast very impotent attacks. And for me, naturally, both teams to score would sit pretty on this one, but even more so that it's the final day, and both teams aren't defensively great at the moment, but still have very nice attacks. There's going to be goals. There's got to be goals.
Well, we keep in mind that Leeds have now conceded 13 in their last 7 games,
exactly,
after previously only conceding 3 in, from the start of 2024 up until the middle of March. It's ridiculous how much their standards have fallen defensively. So you'd have thought both teams to score is a good bet here. It's just a case of, it's more a case really of whether the strikers are confident in front of goal, because I think both are suffering with their issues here when that's not really been an issue all season. It's happening at the worst possible time, but you'd have thought both teams score would be a safe bet here, considering both are very leaky at the back all of a sudden. Yeah. My first selection is Shay Charles to be carded for Southampton. Now, the reason I've gone for this is because in 5 of Leeds' last 6 games, an opposition centre midfielder has been carded. And I think the main reason for that is because Leeds have the most fouled player in the division in Jorginho Ruta, playing as a number 10, but also other players who attract a lot of fouls, like your Somervilles and your Nontos. And Shay Charles averages the second most fouls per minute out of every player in the Southampton squad. So he seems like the obvious shout here. So I'm going to go for a Shay Charles card. Are you happy with that, Justin?
Yeah, I think with how often teams cut through Southampton's midfield and how fluid Leeds are at counter-attacking, because I think this is the only thing about Leeds. If they were playing on the counter-attack rather than playing with possession, I think they'd be a much better side, which is incredible because they've got 90 points. But if they were against teams who come at them, I think they'd be a lot better, and I think Southampton will, which means a lot of Leeds breakaways, which opens up the potential for a lot of cynical professional fouls. And obviously if Shay Charles is sitting in that midfield, guaranteed he's going to commit maybe 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah, I'm glad you backed me, Justin, and you've gone for a very similar pick to your first selection for your next selection, haven't you?
Yeah, I've gone for over 2.5 goals. I'm just expecting goals in this game. Like I said, I think the final day adds to that because there's going to be a pumping atmosphere. There's going to be a lot of potential drama. You mentioned that the amount of goals Leeds have conceded. They have struggled to defend of late. I mean, conceding 4 to a QPR team who haven't had strikers score very often. It might make them not want to tighten up a little bit, but it's the last game of the season. Leeds have got to go for it. Southampton are very good at picking teams apart as well, despite being in a poor run of form. They're likely to grab a goal, which again could make Leeds come out of the traps a little bit more. I don't need to over-explain it. I probably have. I'm just expecting goals in this game. There's got to be goals in this game.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much covered it with both teams' score, haven't we? Both sides very leaky at the back, so I think over 2.5 is, again, another safe pick. And my final selection for our bet builder is Leeds United to win. Now, this is a really hard game to call because both sides haven't been great recently, but purely on the basis of probability and the fact they simply have to win, a Leeds victory is the obvious shout here if you're going for results. We have got to remember, as disappointing as they have been in recent weeks, they have won 16 from their last 19 league games at Ellen Road. And Southampton, on the other hand, have lost 4 of their last 7 away games. So Leeds should live up to their end of the bargain because they simply have to. So that's why I think that would be the most sensible result selection here, Justin. Are you all right with that?
I think so. It's more of a case of the fact that Leeds have to win to get into that top 2, to have a chance of getting into that top 2. It's going to swing the decision making to go for them for the 3 points. So absolutely. Although Southampton, they're a good side, but they're losing games. I mean, Leeds are losing games as well. But the fact that Leeds have to win, it just swings it for me.
Yep, absolutely. So that bet builder, once again, is both teams score, Shay Charles to be carded, over 2.5 goals, and Leeds United to win. And a £10 bet with SBK on that returns £74. However, SBK are an absolutely class bookie, and that means you can claim a 25% winnings boost on bet builders for Leeds versus Southampton, bringing us up to £92.50. Max stake of £10 over 18s only. T's and C's apply. Please gamble responsibly, and begambleaware.org as well for that. Justin, just before we have a quick break and then go on to our banker and outsider predictions for the weekend, potentially big news for Championship clubs, because Will Still has left Reims over in France. The highly rated young manager has admitted in the past that while he wants to manage in the Premier League, he would love to take charge of an ambitious Championship club, and has indicated in the past he wants to come back to England. He has previously been linked with Sunderland before they decided to go with Mick Beale. Justin, I wonder if we'll finally see him come over to these shores.
Yeah, I'm just looking through the table now and just trying to decipher who ticks the boxes for an ambitious Championship club.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I was doing exactly the same thing as you before we started recording.
Yeah.
And I don't know who would fall into the category. I suppose Sunderland do, even though they've had such a shit 2024 so far.
Yeah, but what is their transfer policy ambitious? Signing young players, developing them, and selling them on?
I think they're still an ambitious club just now. I think they just may need a bit more of a selling than they possibly did 5 months ago. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, to some extent. I think Sunderland have shit the bed over the last 12 months pretty much. They've made some really horrendous decisions. Transfers last summer were really poor. We've gone over this ground quite often. So whether or not there is an attractive proposition as they were sort of back when Mowbray left, I don't know. I feel like my mindset's changed a little bit towards them. I think the teams that would consider themselves ambitious do have good managers in place. I think Coventry are an incredibly ambitious side, but Mark Robins is performing wonders there.
They're not getting rid of Robins, are they? You've got to take into account which clubs will be without managers as well. So with that being said, I'm looking at maybe Southampton if Russell Martin doesn't get them promoted. I could see that happening.
Maybe.
Otherwise, I mean, if they stay up, Birmingham there's been a lot of talk about Birmingham spending a lot of money this summer, and there would be a lot of ambition there, but obviously with the season that they've had, that would probably take a lot of convincing. So there's certainly teams out there, isn't there?
Yeah, Birmingham's a really good option to bring into the mix. So, I mean, obviously they might go down, but the fact that
he's not going down to League One, is he? But if they stay up, that's an option.
But if to stay up. But it's the fact that they've announced these stadium plans, they're investing money into the club. They've got a good youth policy there as well. So it is that sort of sell to buy aspect that allows Championship clubs to thrive and reinvest into their squads. I think they do tick a lot of the boxes, and it would be a nice option for them. But obviously, there's a Tony Mowbray aspect. Whether he comes back in the summer or not is another question. But I do think Will Still's options in the Championship are a lot more limited now than what they were possibly 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see. The obvious news here is with Still leaving Reims, a big obstacle before was his compensation that Reims were asking for. They were looking for something in the millions, according to reports. And now that he's effectively available on a free, it's a significant thing. So, yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see where he does end up. And hopefully it will be in England in some shape or form, whether that's the Premier League or the Championship. Because I think for once we all want to see how good Will Still actually is as a manager, because we've been hearing about him for so long now. Well, we finally get to see some proof in the pudding, and if that's in the Championship, it'll be a significant coup for whoever manages to get him in. Justin, let's take a quick break. After that, we'll look ahead to the weekend and make some bloody predictions. Welcome back to the Second Tier podcast, and it's now time for us to look ahead to some of the other games on the final day of the Championship season. As we say, there's a lot of bloody big games coming up this weekend, and it's very, very tasty. And with that being said, in each preview episode of the Second Tier, Justin and I each pick a banker, a team we think is guaranteed to win this coming weekend, as well as an outsider, so someone we think is going to win, but is bigger odds with our friends at SBK than their opponents. We've been tracking how we do as the season goes on. 1 point for a correct banker, 2 points for an outsider. The loser would ultimately have to do a forfeit, which would have been a CrossFit workout for myself, while Justin would have to do a coach trip from Sunderland to Plymouth and back. And the current scores, well, pretty much final scores, I suppose, for the season now, 41-34 to myself. Justin actually managed to get a full house last week, but it's simply a consolation at this stage because I've officially won for the season. Justin, you're now just playing for consolation points, aren't you? See if you can try and close the gap to 4 points to save a bit of pride at the end of the season and reduce your embarrassment on the final day.
Reduce my embarrassment. Wow. I mean, if I finish just 4 points behind you, I mean that tells of a pretty significant drop off for you. A bit of complacency.
All I'm saying is I've been on the beach now for weeks. So
well, you might have been on the beach, but we're battling to be football championship experts here. And
I've already proved it.
No, you haven't.
Well, I have.
Right.
In loads of different ways. Justin, with that being said, how about you throw your banker at us, big boy?
Yep, that's gonna. Yeah. I will throw my banker your way. I was gonna say some choice words at you there, but I'm afraid. My banker is Birmingham to win at home to Norwich. This is a big one. This is a big one. It's the biggest game in Birmingham's recent history. Incredibly as well. I mean, we've alluded to it in previous episodes, but Birmingham are closer to relegation than they have been since that Paul Caddis equaliser against Bolton all those years ago, which is astonishing. Because this is the best squad they've had since possibly when they came down from the Premier League. It's unreal. It is unreal for them to be in this position, but they're in this position and they need a win at home to Norwich. Their home form, Birmingham's that is pretty good, especially if Tom Wagner is around giving a rousing speech. That helps.
Do it.
Not only that.
Do it.
No,
Do it.
I've done it too often.
Do it.
This is our house.
Yes.
Not only that, but Birmingham do tend to show up for these types of occasions. They do show up for these types of occasions, hence why they've managed to avoid relegation in poorer circumstances. But at the same time, is this one too many? Who knows? Norwich do have the opportunity, to rest one or two players as well. Their goal difference is quite favourable. Mix that with their away form being pretty poor for a playoff chasing team or promotion chasing team, and Birmingham's plight. This looks a nice one.
Yeah, it still hasn't sunk in with me that there's a good chance we lose Birmingham City this weekend. Yeah. Like, in my heart, it feels like they're like 18th and they're probably going to be absolutely fine on the final day. But you look at the table, it speaks for itself, doesn't it? They are in dire needs of a win this weekend, because a draw, even though it would put them level on points with Plymouth have a better goal difference, absolutely battered by Hull. It looks like it won't be enough for Bird. So they've got to go out there and get the win. But I agree with you, Justin. I think this is a good pick, mainly because of Birmingham's home form and Norwich's away form. That's significant in my eyes. But also, Birmingham have this habit over the years of just avoiding relegation at all costs, don't we? That Paul Caddis goal, which we were alluding to at the very start of the show, you were just alluding to it then, is a perfect example of how they just don't say die. And in recent years, they've flirted with relegation, but always managed to pull themselves away. But this is the most in danger that they have been in a long time. But look, I think Norwich, with the fact that they have got the playoffs around the corner, I wouldn't be surprised if they did rest a player or two heading into this weekend. They'll still put out a decent squad, I'm sure, and it'll be one that Birmingham have got to be well up for. But yeah, I think Birmingham to win, I think that's a good pick for me personally. Justin, are you the same as me? Do you, is it still not really sunk in that there's a good chance Birmingham do go down this weekend though?
Well, this is the weird thing about Birmingham. Is probably since January we've just almost overlooked them as a relegation candidate, and now they're in the bottom three going into the last day of the season with needing to get points on the board. It's like, oh shit, they're in this. They might go down. Come 3 o'clock on Saturday, they might be a League One side. So yeah, it hasn't sunk in. It probably won't sink in until the final whistle on Saturday.
Yeah, I probably should mention the permutations. So if Birmingham win, which they've essentially got to do, unless Plymouth do get battered, if Birmingham win, then they still need results to go their way. If Plymouth fail to win, then that'll be them down instead. Alternatively, you've got Sheffield Wednesday and Blackburn, who will be keeping an eye on the Birmingham game because they will have a poorer goal difference than Birmingham if they do win. And then if they lose, that puts them in all sorts of bother as well. So that's how it's setting up for the relegation battle this weekend. Looking at the other end of the table, my banker this weekend on the final day is Ipswich Town to win at home to Huddersfield Town. This is it. Ipswich Town have a date with Destiny, and Destiny is very keen to get to know them because all the hard work since last August, in fact, all the hard work since August 2022. It comes down to this very moment. The objective is clear. All Ipswich need to do on the final day to secure promotion back to the Premier League is get 1 point. That's it. Just 1 point is all that is left to pull off one of the most remarkable achievements in Championship history in getting Ipswich Town back-to-back promotions. And look, there's a lot in their favour. They're facing a Huddersfield side who are all but relegated. They've only won 1 of their last 11 games. They've only won 3 away games all season. And Ipswich have only lost 1 league game at Portman Road since October 2022. Christ alive. It would be one of the most ridiculous turn of events ever if Ipswich Town did not get promoted at this stage. We would be talking like arguably the most ridiculous turn of events on a final day ever if Ipswich didn't win this game. So look, they just need to, well, if Ipswich don't get promoted, I mean, but look, they just need to draw. But I would still be very surprised if Ipswich didn't go out there and make sure of it by getting the win, because when you just need at least a draw, the best way to approach it is by being on the front foot and ensuring the win. And I think that's what Ipswich will do. That's what they've been doing all season. They'll want to take the game to this really poor Huddersfield side. And there's going to be a party atmosphere at Portman Road. The players know what they have to do. I'm confident Ipswich will get the job done. So I'm going for Ipswich Town as my banker for the weekend.
This is the big banker of the weekend. But there is a part of me thinking Huddersfield, they'll spoil the party. It's just that last day. It's just that last day of the season sort
I know
of
what you
thing.
mean, Justin. I know what you mean.
It's chipping away at me. It's convincing me that destiny is about to screw someone here, and it could be Ipswich.
It makes no sense, does it?
Exactly.
It makes no complete and utter sense for Huddersfield to potentially get anything from this game. But because it's the final day, you just have that thing at the back of your mind that goes, but what if?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I've got no logic to disagree with you here, other than it being unpredictable. And I think that's the thing. That the tension for me going into this game is actually incredibly high, because Brighton Wright has been saying as well, the Huddersfield manager has been saying that they want to go out, they want to be professional, give everything they can. And everything might be stopping Ipswich from winning this game. And Leeds might beat Southampton. It's just ridiculous thinking about it. It is just ridiculous. That's why I've got a wry smile on my face, because I'm nervous, I'm excited, and look, as I say, there's no logic to disagree with you, but there's always that nagging feeling in the back of your mind it might happen.
There absolutely is. And as someone who has been backing Ipswich Town to finish in the top 2 all season, to potentially be on the edge of greatness in being proven right with that prediction, it honestly is making my mouth a bit dry. Did you see, by the way, our league table predictions from the start of the season have gone viral? I started getting these notifications about them all of a sudden, and somebody just tweeted about them saying how well we did because we had Leicester first and Ipswich second, and all of a sudden that post got 1 million views. It's ridiculous. It's probably the tweeters which has done the most in proving us to be championship experts, and we didn't even put it out, Justin.
I know, it's mad. It is mad. But and it is a lottery. It is a lottery. I mean, we're not Mystic Megs over here. We don't look at the stars and go, Ipswich are going to finish second. But then again, we did predict Luton to go up last season, finish third and go up last season. So maybe we do see something. Maybe we get the tea leaves out. Shut up. No, we shut up. We get the.
We is a strong word there, isn't it? When I'm pretty sure it was just about all me, but carry on, Justin.
I was going to say, now you've ruined the sentiment of what I was saying by making it all about you again. Never mind. As you were.
We were just talking about biggest championship expert. That's all I'm going to say. But I think our league table predictions from the start of the season, of course, we're not going to get every single one right, and there will be people pointing out, oh, but you had West Brom lower mid-table. But at the end of the day, it doesn't get much better than that, I don't think. So if I apologise, listener, for taking a brief moment to blow smoke up our own arses, mainly myself.
Your arse, not mine.
But you know what? I think every so often we just want to remind people how bloody good we are at this. Anyway, speaking of which, here's our multiple for the weekend. As every week, we combine these two selections of our two bankers with a bet on the full-time result of our game of the weekend to create our very own second-tier featured multiple with SBK. So this week, we're going for Leeds, Birmingham and Ipswich all to win. A £10 bet on that returns £44 with SBK. You can create your own multiple with 3 or more bets on the full-time result of any game from across the Championship. T's and C's apply, over 18s only, and please do gamble responsibly. Justin, it's now time for us to go through our outsiders for the weekend. And look, we've mentioned some of the big games of the weekend already. There's still some big ones for us to chew over, isn't there? What have you gone for as your first outsider, or your only outsider for that matter?
Yeah, my only outsider. I've gone for Plymouth to win at home to Hull. This is an outsider for a reason. I'm not totally convinced Plymouth will get the 3 points here, but they are at home. It's a big one, and I need points on the board to rescue pride in this little competition we have. Obviously, as I say, Plymouth are outsiders for a reason. The odds are against them, with Hull needing to win themselves to give their playoff chance a boost. For me, I think West Brom will do the business against Preston, confirm their playoff place. That might deflate Hull, allow Plymouth to take control and win the game. These are ifs, but some maybes. But as I say, Plymouth's home record is strong. Hull's away record is very strong. It's the 4th best away record in the division, which should surprise a few people. But they are a very good away side. But as we know, Enzo Maresca doesn't like it. It is a long way down to Plymouth, albeit the weather's bloody lovely at the moment. So Hull might have been staying down there for the week. You never know. They might have limited that travel, which might give their legs a bit of the rest they need going into it, rather than being sat on a coach for 6 hours. Nonetheless, Plymouth to win at home. Big one. It's an outside for a reason. Who knows?
Yeah, I could see this game being utter carnage because after Leicester won the league on Monday night, this is effectively the only game where both teams still have plenty to fight for. There are other games where it's not all mathematically confirmed what's happening, but this is essentially the only one where both teams need a win to, in Plymouth's case, ensure survival. In Hull's case, make sure they put the pressure on West Brom. So this game could be utter carnage, but that could go Plymouth's way because on plenty of occasions this season we have seen them flourish in the game of outscoring their opponents, because that's what they do best, isn't it? They're not the best side in the world at the back, but they score a lot of goals. And you're right, home advantage is a big thing for Plymouth. Leicester were the last team to play at Home Park, and they obviously lost to Plymouth. So the home record's good there, and that's something that Hull will have to deal with. But I think this is I think it's an underrated game of the weekend, just in which I don't think many people will probably be keeping an eye on. But considering there's so much at stake for both sides, I think it's definitely worth keeping an eye on for anyone listening, isn't it?
Yeah, well, exactly, because this is it's just a big game. And if I cast my mind back a couple of seasons when Plymouth were in League One, the season before they went up as champions, they had final day drama against MK Dons. I think if they needed a win to get into the playoffs themselves, and MK Dons I think needed a win to have a chance of finishing in the top 2. MK Dons beat them 5-0 at Home Park. So they have had recent last day drama, and if that's anything to go by, I expect a very good game. Obviously, maybe not in Plymouth's favour, but judging on that previous experience. But who knows?
So the permutations for both sides, Hull need 3 points if they're going to stand any chance of getting a playoff place. And then they need West Brom to lose to Preston. It is worth saying Preston's form is absolutely honking. 4 losses on the bounce now. So that would be quite the turn of events. But West Brom aren't in great licks themselves. They've lost 3 on the bounce as well. So you never know. Hull have just got to fill their part, haven't they? And then hope that Preston do them a bit of a solid. Whereas for Plymouth, they need a win to secure safety. If they get a draw, then they're relying on Birmingham not beating Norwich City. So it's a big if. But a win, that's it. That's all they have to do. If they fail to win, their fate is in the hands of Birmingham and Norwich. So that's how it stands for Plymouth. And another team who are also in the relegation fight this weekend, but may potentially pull off a miraculous survival, is Sheffield Wednesday. I've got them as my outsider to win away at Sunderland. And Sheffield Wednesday are closing on one of the greatest escapes we've ever seen in Championship history. They were bottom of the league with just 3 points from 11 games when Danny Rule came in. Now they just need a point to secure survival. Wow. The overwhelming reason why they're here right now is because of Danny Rule. Since he was appointed, only 9 teams have won more points than Sheffield Wednesday. He has completely turned their fortunes around, and they've only lost 3 of their last 13 as well. So considering all they need is a point to make sure that they're safe, the chances of them staying up are very strong, particularly when you consider who they're playing. If Sheffield Wednesday could pick any side of the Championship to face this weekend, barring anyone in the bottom three, it would probably be Sunderland. In contrast to Wednesday, they've had an absolute stinker of a calendar year. Only Rotherham have won fewer points than them in 2024. Yeah, it's been that bad. I'll say that again. Only Rotherham have won fewer points than Sunderland in 2024. Yeah. That's some stat, isn't it? And it's getting to the point where I actually feel a bit bad for the caretaker boss, Mike Dodds, because he was walking into a tricky situation, wasn't he, after the Mick Beale debacle? And he'll just want this season to end at this stage, as will all the Sunderland fans. It's worth saying it could also be the end of an era somewhat, because this will more than likely be Jack Clarke's last match as a Sunderland player. There's possibly going to be a few others heading out the door as well. Anthony Patterson, the goalkeeper, has been linked with a move away, and as I say, plenty of others have also been linked with going out the exit door. But the long and short of it is they've had a rotten end to the season. 9 points from an available 42 for Sunderland. Sheffield Wednesday have got to fancy their chances of not just getting the point they need, but by making it certain and getting all three. Justin, what do you think?
It's a nice game to play, isn't it, for Wednesday? You're playing a side who they've been dreadful, been absolutely dreadful since Tony Mowbray left. Mick Beale played his hand in that, but Mike Dodds hasn't rescued the season as many would have liked and expected. And I think it's that a lot of Wednesday players are in form. Mickey Ugbo's been fantastic since he arrived on loan from Troy in January. Obviously had to spell at Cardiff in the first half of the season. He's got 7 goals in 17 games. He's a poacher and a half. Marvin Johnson's been unreal since Danny Rule came in. Gassama as well, Anthony Musaba. There's just a lot of talent at Sheffield Wednesday that Danny Raw's been able to tap into. And that's incredibly reassuring for the future, I think. Even if Wednesday don't get out of that even if they don't escape relegation for some bizarre reason, because I do think they will, future's bright with Wednesday. It really is. Whether Danny Raw's there or not, there are a lot of talented players there, which we couldn't say this time last year. So yeah, I think they will do it. I think they will do it. I think they will win against Sunderland, and I think they will stay up. So I agree with you.
Yeah. Well, we won't get too carried away with looking ahead to the future, Justin, because at the moment they just need to make sure that they stay safe on the final day. All they need is a point. As I say, their goal difference is much worse than the likes of Plymouth and Birmingham, so that's not in their favour. However, if they do get a point, that makes it impossible for Birmingham City to catch them, and that would make it an incredible survival job that they have pulled off. The only way they can actually get relegated is if Plymouth win and Birmingham win. So it's looking good for Sheffield Wednesday. It's got to be said heading into the final day, but they'll have to make sure against Sunderland this weekend. Justin, it's now time for this.
Scott High or Ryan Lowe?
Your best is fucking shit, mate.
It's now time for Scott High or Ryan Lowe. This is the game where we have to rank 4 things from highest to lowest. It's as simple as that. And there's 3 questions. This week, Justin Peach is providing the questions to me. So what have you got for me, Justin, you bastard?
Got some good questions. That's what I've got for you, Ryan. Serving them up right now. First one is, we're coming up to the end of the campaign, as we all know. Very sad. Very, very sad. So I want you to rank for me the outfield players who have played the most minutes so far this season. There's quite a few actually who could complete the entire campaign having played every single minute. But we'll see who's ranked on this list. The players you need are Gabriel Sara, Sammy Schmodix, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, and Ethan Ampadu.
Right, first, straight off the bat, I'm putting Ethan Ampadu top, because I'm pretty sure he's played every minute this season.
Interesting.
Pretty sure he has. Or just about every minute anyway. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall has been benched on occasion. So I'm tempted to put him bottom, because Maresca has had a tendency to rotate the squad somewhat. So I think I'll put him bottom. Schmodix and Sara. I really can't decipher between those two. I'm pretty happy with my first and last pick. So just purely throwing a dart at it, I'll stick Sara second, Schmodix third.
You bastard, you've got it.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Here we go. It's a good end to the season right here.
It really is. He's in form. Yeah, so Ethan Ampadu has played an incredible 4,050 minutes. So he's played every single minute of Leeds' season so far. chopping and changing between centre mid and centre back, which is an incredible thing to do. So fair play, Ethan. Well done. Gabriel Sara is second. He's only missed 33 minutes of the season so far, which surprised me because I always thought he carried a couple of knocks every now and then, but he's been there.
No.
He's been there or thereabouts all season. Samish Modric is third. He's missed 231 minutes, and Kiernan Dewsbury Hall has missed a massive 404 minutes, which is about 3 and a bit games.
Yeah, you say massive, but that's in comparison to
Yeah.
the other three, I suppose, isn't it? Justin, what's the next question?
The next question is, which subs have scored the most goals as substitutes this season? I've written that poorly, but you get the point.
Okay. Jesus.
Which players have scored the most goals as substitutes this season?
All right, fine.
Your players are Tommy Conway, Amari Hutchinson, Milutin Osmajic, and Chris Rigg.
Chris Rigg has scored a couple of goals. I think that's it, though. I can think of two off the top of my head, but I can't think of any others. Osmajic obviously scored a hat-trick, and he makes a lot of appearances off the bench. I don't think he scored that many goals, but I'll put him ahead of Rigg. Tommy Conway's an interesting one. He's missed a lot of the season through injury, really, hasn't he? And I'm guessing he must have started more games than been a sub. Who was the other one?
Amari Hutchinson.
See, Amari Hutchinson has... When he's come on, I don't think he's scored that many goals, even though he has scored quite a few recently. I think he started most of those games. So I'll put Osmajic top. Then I'll put Tommy Conway. What the hell?
Come on.
Sorry. Osmajic top. Then I'll put Hutchinson, Conway, Rigg.
Fuck off.
Have I nailed it?
Yeah.
Oh! Ladies and gentlemen, look at this. Proper championship expert right here.
Yeah, we'll see how much of an expert you are in a moment, but you are right. Osmajic just scored 5 from the bench. That hat-trick the other week did help.
Yeah.
Amari Hutchinson has scored 4 from the bench, which is a good number. I thought he'd be higher because he just seems to have an impact whenever he just always has an impact. Tommy Conway's next. He's got 3 goals from the bench, and you are right about Chris Rigg. He has got 2 goals from the bench.
Yeah, unbelievable scenes, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if I can get a full house. I don't think we've had a full house this season, have we, Justin?
I may have had one, but you are right. They are rare.
Go on then.
So this is where you truly sit as an expert for me.
Oh God.
And if you don't get it, then yeah, you want a good telling off. I want you to rank for me the UK's most popular pizza toppings.
Okay.
The options are barbecue chicken, margarita, pepperoni, and ham and pineapple.
Flipping egg.
You like a pizza?
I bloody love a pizza. Margarita or pepperoni top. It's between those two. And obviously margarita's just plain, isn't it? So
Just
I feel
cheese and tomato.
cheese and tomato, yeah. Spot on. Pizza expert, I can tell. I think margarita's got to be top, purely on the basis that it is just so obvious. Then I'll go pepperoni. Then I'll go barbecue chicken. And then I think ham and pineapple's got to be bottom because that's just disgusting behaviour, anyone who has that.
So you're going margarita, pepperoni, barbecue chicken, ham and pineapple.
I'm a bit between margarita and pepperoni. I'm not sure whether I need to swap them around, but I'm going to go with that. And fingers crossed, I've pulled off an unbelievable full house.
Well, Ryan, incredibly, you've fallen at the final
You
hurdle.
fucker! Oh!
You've fallen at the final hurdle. You are incorrect. You got barbecue chicken right, but pepperoni is top with 18%.
Don't tell me margarita's second.
Ham and pineapple is second.
What?
14%. 14% of people prefer ham and pineapple.
Do you mean ham and mushroom?
Ham and pineapple. Ham and pineapple.
Who on earth has ham and pineapple?
I like pineapple on pizza.
But if you're gonna
I like it.
have both, make your bloody mind up. Do you want a fruit on there? Do you want a meat on there? You can't have
Listen.
both.
I know you can't have both because you're allergic to health, and pineapple offers that. But
Exactly.
anyway, ham and pineapple is second, and it's barbecue chicken with 11%, and it's margarita with 10%. I just think margarita is too boring for people.
It is boring, but I just assumed that would be the most popular pick because it's just so like straight down the line, isn't it? Oh well. Oh, that was close anyway, once that. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's been Scott Higher, Ryan Lowe. And this has been the Second Tier Preview Show brought to you by SBK. Ladies and gentlemen, it's here. It's bloody here. I cannot wait for the final day of the season. We'll be giving you all the reaction to it on Sunday morning. So we look forward to speaking to you then with that. And with that being said, this has been the Second Tier Podcast. We shall see you again on Sunday. I have been Ryan Dilks.
I have been Justin Peach.
And a big thank you for listening.